Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? I want to talk today about questioning things. I want to suggest that you question things. Okay. You know the old saying that it's not that people don't know much, but so much of what they know just ain't true. That is the truth. It's the truth in so many areas of life. And it is so true in the field of preparedness. There are so many things that have been repeated over and over and over again that they become truisms to the point to where you can't question them without being, called a heretic or people saying you don't know what you're talking about, simply because, not that they know what they're talking about, but simply that they have accepted what they've heard over and over and over again without questioning it. And that's the important thing, that you question everything. You question what I say. And the people that I used to train, I'd say, don't believe this because I say it. Do your own research. See if it works. It's not true because I say it. I say it because I believe it to be true. See, there's a difference there. I just put one up over on the Patreon channel about soft tissue injuries and how I have come to believe that the old way of RICE, rest, ice, compression, elevation, is wrong. Okay, that's over on Patreon. I'm going to do several over there coming up. Probably tomorrow I'll do, because I've had people ask me about it, on how to run properly. 99% of people in the Western world run improperly. That's why they have knee problems, ankle problems, hip problems, back problems. And I'll tell you how I learned to run right. That's how I was able to run 8 miles a day barefoot. I've had people ask me about that. That's why I'm going to do that one. And then I'm also going to do one on a different way, proper ways to clear a house. I just ran some training the other day on one-man house clearing. I had them ask me about some other things. I watched some videos because they told me, well, this is entirely different than what I've ever seen before. And so I watched some others, and I was very, very surprised at what I was seeing from some people who are, how shall I say, at what many people consider to be at the top of things. Okay. It's a difference of some people passing on what they've been taught, and then they've learned that, and someone who has done it many, many times, which I have. Reality teaches much differently than a classroom, and so I'll do that over there. And also, I'm going to talk about different ways of shooting that you all might not be familiar with. And whenever I do these things, and the reason that I put them over on, I'm telling you all here what you can find on Patreon if you're not with us over there, if you'd like to join us. You should be, if you really want to get deeper. And this is all applying to not just in the future, but you might need this stuff today, but it is so central to really being prepared. But when I put this stuff on YouTube, I just get, so many people who don't know, who think they know, but they don't know. And they'll come on with all of their opinions, and it's just, guys, those of us who know can tell when you don't know. So it is so important to be able to learn, okay? And not just all of a sudden jump up and down and scream and holler about anything that's different than what you've heard on your favorite YouTubes, for the last 10 years. But those things will be over there. Yesterday, when the one that I put up on about asking should Christians prepare, it was a Stonemont church message that I also put on here, and that was my question: should Christians prepare? And when I was talking about the story of Joseph, this is just another example. When I explained the entire story of Joseph, which again, most people have never heard and don't know. They just remember, and I've mentioned it several times about Joseph, telling Pharaoh, bring in, during the seven fat years so that you have it during the 7 lean years. Well, that's the tip of the message. The rest of the message, the iceberg, the below the surface, is much more, and it's not what you think. And it is a crucial warning about what's happening. And so I've had a number of people, say, well, I never heard that. I didn't know that. And so again, I encourage you in that case, go read the Bible yourself and see it. In other cases, test things. Test things. Do they work? Is it right? And then, you will let knowledge, first off, you'll let your curiosity, your investigative spirit drive your information. And then the information can then you form into your knowledge foundation, right? And then you're going to be able to base your opinions and your actions on real information. And that information can change. One of the things that I'm going to talk about, for instance, when I talk about shooting, back in my day, we went through, we were trained a certain way in the police academy for shooting, and it was kind of a modified Weaver, a little bit different than that. There were a lot of things that went into it. I'm not going to get into it here. I'll get into it over on Patreon. And so that was the only way to do it, right? And then all of a sudden the isosceles came along, and then that was the only way to do it, right? And you'll be surprised now, a lot of these things are driven by competition. And then a lot of those competition things are picked up by military and police, and then they are trained, well, this is the way to do it, and then everybody's talking about this is the way to do it. And when they hear something a little bit different, oh, no, that's heretical, that's you couldn't possibly know what you were doing. But that will also evolve, and you have to be open to this. You have to question things. Questioning is the first step to real knowledge. And so that's probably the main thing that I want to say today. Question everything. If you find it to be true, good. You have simply reinforced your understanding and your belief that this thing is true and it works. Because you need it to work. If it comes down to brass tacks, you need what you think to work. If it turns out, whoa, this doesn't really withstand the tests I'm putting it through, then it's time to evolve, right? To change, to grow. But you can't do that if you have a mind that's set in stone and just, incapable of considering new information and then investigating that, and then being willing to follow wherever your investigation goes. Okay, as an old police investigator, that was the thing. Follow the evidence. Test it yourself. Don't go about it because somebody else said it. Okay, and then because you're the one that's going to have to rely on what you know or what you think you know. Right? So don't put your survival or your preparedness in the hands of of somebody else or 100 somebody else's who simply all say the same thing about something. Maybe it's the best way to go. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's a better way. But you should test it for yourself. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about something else, but I will leave that for now. Remember, I do want to remind people we're coming into a new year. It is a year that's going to be full of challenges. I think it's going to be a very interesting year, which we're talking about on the American Reversion channel. I know I've got several channels going. I cover different things on different channels because I didn't want to mix them all up on here. But if you haven't read our sponsor, the Stonemont series, my books, you might want to, because these books They have been called by thousands of people the best preparedness and survival books they've ever read. And if you haven't read them, it would serve you well too. And you can get them on Amazon. I'll put the link down here. I always do, and in the information section and a pinned comment. You can get them from there in paperback or Kindle, or you can get them from me autographed, and there's a way to do that down there too. It's a fiction story that carries within it all of the lessons of preparedness, survival, people, communities, justice, dealing with problems. Okay, how to handle those problems that come up. And there's a lot of life lessons that you can use in your life today too. It's the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, and the blessings of freedom. And they, like I say, are available. If you haven't read them, do so. You'll get a lot. You'll like them, I think, and you'll get a lot out of them. So remember, if you want to join us on Patreon, it's down there. It's only $1 a month. That's some of the things coming up, and today's was rice. Is rice really the correct treatment for traumatic soft tissue injuries? And I've come to believe that it's not. I explain it all over there. You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So do something to prepare well today, because we all want to live better tomorrow, right? Okay. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.